Good evening, I'm Seher Zama. In the big story at 5 p.m. This is in an effort to reduce traffic congestion, to reduce food wastage at social functions and weddings in the national capital in Delhi. The Delhi state government has drafted a policy which aims to regulate the size of social functions depending on the space, depending on the parking available. The draft policy which seeks to restrict barats and dance only within the venues, not on the roads building up to the venue. The draft policy also recommends here that the leftover food should be given to underprivileged people through a tie-up, a partnership with an NGO. This policy is being framed after the Supreme Court cracked a whip on the Delhi government, asking it to work on reducing wastage at such events. Let's in fact take a listen into some
few recommendations can affect, and few are very good for all of us. Like, see, one point I think it is parking and guest list. Yes. So see, our clients usually they are also very conscious about their guest list and the parking area. So I mean they take care, वो खुद ही इतना ध्यान रखते हैं कि उतने ही गेस्ट आए जाए जितने वहाँ वेन्यू में अकोमोडेट कर सकते हैं. हाँ, बाकी जो घोड़ी की बात है, घोड़ी इज़ अ सेंसिटिव इश्यू. वो थोड़ा सा एक रस्म है इन नॉर्थ इंडिया, तो उस पर थोड़ा सा इट कैन अफेक्ट.
लेकिन एक बात ये है कि what they are restricting about these horses, they are restricting them on the roads, because you often see that there are during the marching, during a procession, there is a traffic congestion always happens, and in fact in the congested areas it always happens. So do you think that it will be fine if it is restricted in the venues only?
Venues, see, Delhi में most of the venues are on the main road. 80% 85% venues main road पे है, और बाकी है फार्म हाउस पे, और हर कोई फार्म हाउस पे शादी दे कांट. हाँ, वही तो. हाँ, so that is the thing कि आप कैसे, I mean that make no sense कि आप उसको रोको. But हाँ, you can set a rule कि एक लेन बना दिया just for the घोड़ा and the रथ वगैरह जो भी है.
We don't have any issues regarding any policies. Whatever is government is coming up, they're coming with the good things. But again, there are few points which needs to be discussed before approving, before committing any single policy. Is supposed to be discussed with the all property owners in a single forum. Right. What all the steps we are planning to go, and what all the things in our mind. So there will be some brainstorming session supposed to be there. कि क्या क्या चीज़ें हम करें और कहाँ से चीज़ों को हम कवर अप करें. और ये चलो दूसरे टॉपिक पे आते हैं, ट्रैफिक कंजेशन. आप ट्रैफिक कंजेशन की बात करते हो, पहले रोड तो बना के दे दो. आप रोड इधर से आओ, आगे से आपको सामने से रोड ढलती हुई मिलेगी, बट वहाँ पर कुछ है ही नहीं. आप ट्रैफिक की बात करते हो, ट्रैफिक पुलिस की अवेयरनेस कहाँ है? लोग चालान काटने के लिए तो खड़े रहते हैं. किसका चालान काटेंगे भाई? कोई पुरानी गाड़ी आती हुई दिख रही, रोक लिया, कुछ बंदे वहीं बैठ करके 2 लोग 3 लोग जा रहे हैं, वो सारी चीजें कहाँ हैं?
They will be affected badly. At the same time, we are running a business. We will also in the same boat, on the same boat. So this will definitely hamper the business. Exactly. There will be no business, and we cannot tell a person who is going to marry his daughter कि भाई आपका दुल्हा जो है वो तो या पैदल आएगा, नहीं तो रात को आएगा जब ट्रैफिक नहीं होगा, तो उसको घुसा दो बैंकेट हॉल में. इट इज़ नॉट पॉसिबल एट ऑल. आई डोंट नो हाउ दे आर थिंकिंग अबाउट इट. गॉड ओनली नोज.
This is, of course, opposition coming in from those who are connected to the wedding market, the wedding business. Their businesses could be affected here. But let's get in further details. Our correspondent Alok with those inputs here. Alok, this criticism is understandable because it's an imposition which people on an issue, on an occasion that one could be very touchy about, do not want such restrictions in case of a wedding. But Delhi government is working for the benefit of on in fact finding a solution of traffic congestions, wastage of food, water, and this is as per the Supreme Court instructions.
Well, yes, that Delhi government is making this policy to regulate the marriage functions in the national capital. And remember, during the time of a wedding season, there are a lot of traffic congestion that the people who are on the road, they have to face. So in the wake of that the Delhi government is coming up with this policy. When we talk to the stakeholders, they said that they are ready to accept the policy, whatever the restrictions are making the Delhi government, they will are ready to implement that. But they have just raised one objection on one of the recommendations in this draft policy, which is regarding the restrictions of the bands and the procession. And in fact, you remember that in the procession, there is the horse cart also, that people always use that. So that is all that the Delhi government is restricting
That's right.
on the main road, and they are saying that it will be only allowed inside the premises of the venue. So that is what they are that is what they are objecting. And in fact, let me tell you that inside the venue, in the Delhi, most of the banquets hall are in the narrow lanes, and they don't have the proper space for these kinds of functions, for these march of these procession inside the venues. What the draft policy says that that these procession will be allowed inside the premises, but in those banquets where there are no space, that cannot be possible. So these banquet owners are objecting this policy, and they are saying that their business, it will definitely affect their business, and also the business of the horse cart owners, and also the band people. So they are saying that it will affect them. They are saying that they are ready to accept every recommendation, but they are objecting only this recommendation. Back to you.
Alok, stay on with us. We're going to be getting in more voices here as well. Let's in fact get in a word here from Mr. Atul Goel from Urja, which is the United Residents Joint Action. Mr. Goel, thank you for being with us. How do you think this is going to be working on ground? Is the criticism coming in only because it's a matter of inconvenience, because it's a matter of not being able to freely celebrate a big fat wedding, or is there really a problem in implementing this practically?
Actually, I'll put it, because it is if and buts. Like say, if there is a policy already in existence, if you are imposing the norms of the policy or implementing the policy, as far as that is concerned, is okay. In that case, what will happen? Lots of banquet halls will shut down because they are not conforming to the norms already laid down. And now they, in case they are coming up with the procession and of band and this and that. That is a prerogative of each individual. You see how you so far you failed to stop any procession of any religious kind. How can you stop procession of any celebration in the city? And that to personal nature. It is definitely welcome if they stop it on the arterial.
No,
road.
this is a personal. So, Mr. Goel, the argument here being that this is a personal celebration, but it is causing an inconvenience to other people. Traffic congestions to those who are not invited to the wedding.
No. What I'm saying.
To those who could be facing an emergency on the road.
You are right. If you are taking out the procession on the main roads, it should be banned. Absolutely banned. We welcome it. But if you are working within your colony, which is not harming anybody, you have to give space to that. And if you are allowing that within the farmhouse, the weddings taking place within the farmhouse, they can take out the procession in the farmhouse itself. Nobody is harming on the outer agriculture areas where open fields and where there is no traffic. They can carry on with that path. But within the city, it is a nuisance. I think you are getting my point.
That's right. Mr. Goel, how about the suggestion here in this draft policy of dealing with wastage of food, of giving it out to the needy, to the homeless, in tying up with an NGO? So whose job is this going to be? Is it going to be the job of the banquet hall, the person who's providing the venue, or the job of the family?
No, I think it is the one who is providing you the food. It should be his job. Whether it is a caterer or whether it is a banquet hall or if you are organizing it as an individual. In that case, it is your responsibility. But definitely,
Yes,
wastage of
let's in
food,
fact
if
get
you
in
are
that input
controlling.
from our correspondent Alok. Alok, given the fact that this is only a draft policy, there could be changes made with respect to what people feel could badly affect business or could face a hiccup in implementation. Are these specifications being mentioned, or as far as partnering with an NGO is concerned to prevent wastage of food?
Well, as of now, that several banquet owners and the venue owners are already doing it. And in fact, but let me tell you that for several months, and for in fact last year also, we saw that there are several banquet owners. They contacted NGOs to distribute these foods for the unprivileged persons. So this is already in practice. But as it is being going to be become a norm, this is become to be going to become as a policy. So that will be mandatory for them. As of now, several persons, several owners of the banquets are already making it, doing it. But they are, but if it become as a normal policy, then it will become as a mandatory, and they all have to do it. So they have to first contact an NGO, and they have to be with that NGO circle. And whenever there is a function happen, they already have to
Okay.
inform that NGO. If that some quantity of food is left, they have to take they have to collect that food and distribute among the underprivileged persons. So this is the basic norm, and that is what
That's right.
the owners of the venue, they have to follow that.
All right, so this would be impending as far as the owners of the venue, the banquet hall here are concerned. Mr. Atul Goyal, there are other issues here as well. One, of course, being noise pollution, in cleaning up garbage, in not leaving behind waste, in preventing food wastage. And you're saying a lot of these are already part of the norm. So where is the criticism coming from then?
The criticism is coming from the people, those who do not want to carry on and function within the norms. You see, I'm in a habit of violating the norms all along in so many years, and suddenly if you are made liable to follow the norms and the system, definitely the criticism will arise. But it is the government, if the government is willing and they want the city to function in that direction, in that case, definitely you can do that, and they have to impose it. There are penalty actions available there.
Right.
Who will compose the wet waste over produce over there. So all these norms are already there under Swachh Bharat or solid waste management policies and all those things. But and recycling of water. But there are so many policies, and each department of the government or each section of the government, they fail to carry on all these things. So it is definitely, that is why we again and again say that there is a failure of governance, and suddenly you come up with a new policy.
All right. So because this policy draft, of course, has been designed with respect to having the urban development on board, the Delhi Pollution Control Committee, also the Delhi Jal Board here on board. It's not as if this is being done blindly without taking into account experts' advice. But let's get in a word here from a wedding planner, Ms. Aanchal Bagaria, with us. Aanchal, thanks for being with us. Are you in agreement with restrictions that have been put forth, some which are new as well in this draft policy?
Hi there. So basically, in my opinion, when it comes to such, oppositions and such rules that, need to ban a procession which is going on since ages as per our tradition. In a wedding tradition, this is one of the most auspicious moments, and people need to celebrate. When you celebrate other events with firecrackers or a procession or a victory of any political party, then why to have a ban on such celebration, which is one of the most important, moment or event in anyone's life? And considering the losses what we are having or problems the government is facing in terms of traffic or any whatsoever, I think we can have a rule and regulations to protect it in a way that this thing goes as per the guidelines. For any Bharat procession, for that matter, when you do it on road, you have to issue an NOC, which is a non-objection certificate, which comes from the police, where, they provide us with guards so that they don't violate any traffic rules or anything as such. So if we follow those norms, we follow, we use service roads for such thing, I don't think so it's going to be such an obstruction or a problematic scenario that therefore.
Right. So you're of the view here that as long as it's not the main road, it's an in road in a colony, it's a service lane, it should be allowed. But Aanchal, is this going to be hitting business for you?
In terms of business, it is going to definitely affect the people who are actually feeding on such business, people who, take care of the horses, the horse riders, the band people who are working for India in India since ages. Their generations have been passing on and people are doing it in and out thoroughly. So for them, it is definitely going to affect their bread and butter. And the same time, people are not just
Yes, please
for
stay with
weddings.
us because we're getting in some of our viewers calling in as well. Let's in fact get in a word here from William Naidu calling in from Pune. Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, good evening. Mirror now. See, this restriction, why only for weddings? There are other nuisance created by religious processions, Ganpati mandals, politicians, meetings, these things. As it is, these wedding people are all well-connected people, rich people. They will flout the rules and regulations by bribing. Most of them are connected, Mantri's children or Mantri family or MP's families. These are the people who create things. They should never come to the road, including Ganpati. They should not come to the road. Narrow
All right.
roads.
So yes, your view also being here that these wedding processions should not be on the main road here, but everyone wants to have a big fat wedding, a huge celebration here. Mr. Atul Goyal, the question here also being that it seems as if this is restricting your freedom to celebrate, your right to celebrate, your right to have a big fat wedding.
You see, we need to look at it in a holistic manner. The issue is the population growth in the metro cities is going so immensely high, and the authorities fail to bring the norms or what you say, barat ghar kahan par kitna bana hua hai. If it is not available, where you go? After all, these are the rituals. Each one has to carry, each individual family has to take place at one point of time or the other. And the services are very poor. They are in scarcity. And the onus is definitely on the governance, on the government. And if they fail to carry on with the construction of the Bharat Ghar, adequate number of, I'll say, and definitely these problems will come.
Right. Absolutely, and this is a draft policy which has come in, which has been formulated because there have been problems that have been experienced by people on the road. Alok, there's a very specific case here in the Muhurat which is announced, and often you see 1 or 2, 3 days, just 1 or 2, 3 dates of the year wherein which people are having maximum weddings, and that is when maximum traffic congestion takes place as well. How has this been dealt with earlier?
Well, yes, this is very much there. In fact, last year in November, when there was the marriage season was going on, and it was a particular day when there was a 5,000 marriage functions were being celebrated. And in the meantime, before that marriage functions were announced, and that when we got to know that these functions are going on, Delhi police had to come up with an official advisory with the Delhi traffic police stating the people to do not take those routes. So this is the way how the traffic police has to deal every year during the marriage seasons in the national capital. So that is why that, and not only the Delhi police, that Delhi government has to also look into it. And that is why the Supreme Court, in fact, took the cognizance of this whole issue. And that is why that they said that there should be some kind of policy, there should be some kind of draft some policy, so that there could be restriction of the people
so that this inconvenience is not seen every year. Alok, we're going to be getting in the BJP on this here as well. We have Mr. Praveen Shankar Kapoor, BJP spokesperson with us. Mr. Kapoor, thanks for being with us. Are you in agreement with the guidelines that have been mentioned in this draft policy by the Delhi government?
Good evening. I have not been a part of this discussion from the start, so I don't know the nitty-gritty of the details you have been discussing. But primarily, BJP agrees that all wasteful social expenditures need to be curbed, and this is one of them. A lot of money is wasted on lavish parties, wedding parties, and these needs to be curbed. But The only thing that we will like to put in it is that sentiments of people should not be hurt. Somehow the social organizations should also be persuaded to follow it.
Right, but along what lines do you think that sentiments of people would be hurt on this?
For centuries, Bharat has been a part of the wedding ceremony. We have to educate the people that with the changing time,
Right.
and in this very country, in cities like Bombay, wedding processions are no more being carried out. So people have to be educated about it. Social organizations have to be persuaded to educate people, and this is that. Nothing much. We agree with the government on this, that lavish wedding parties
Right.
should not be allowed anymore, and the wasteful food expenditure on food should be immediately cut.
That's right. We appreciate that word coming in. It's heartening to see, of course, the BJP in agreement with the AAP government here on this, because this is for a good cause. It would take some time for people to understand the importance here of this. And Mr. Kapoor, more importantly, in the importance of not inconveniencing fellow citizens. You're celebrating, you're having a wedding, but do not inconvenience the others.
This is also one part of it, but the larger part is that due to these lavish parties, a lot of money is wasted, and at times people are forced to take loans for this, and their financial background is also crippled because of it. People suffer economically a lot.
Right. So you think this is eventually going to have a positive impact where no one's going to be forced to be spending beyond their pocket, because they're going to be restricted to spending how much you're allowed to in terms of food, in terms of other preparations, and eventually that would bring down the burden on us as well?
Yes, it's a very big social issue, and the society will ultimately benefit once these lavish weddings are stopped.
Mr. Praveen Kapoor, appreciate you speaking to us here on this. Achal, one final question here to you. It seems across the board, the criticism is coming in to be able to understand that this is for a larger social cause. If the route of your Bharat is restricted, one will have to deal with it.
That it costs speed.
All right, we seem to have a bad audio connect. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that. Appreciate all the experts who've spoken to us here on this, our correspondent Alok as well. At the end of the day, it is a question of getting used to making certain compromises for the larger social good. It is, at the end of the day, our national capital, our city, to keep it up, keep it running, to keep it workable, and to have it being convenient to all. Thank you for being here.